Hello friends, my name is Bree and welcome to That Iowa Homestead. Now before I jump into this video, I would like to address the elephant in the room. I am testing out new lighting this evening. So let me know in the comments down below what you think of this lighting situation that I have going on here. Do you like it? Is it too much? Give me feedback. I would appreciate it. So for today's video, we are going to be talking about my plans for my pollinator garden areas. I laid out my pollinator garden areas in pretty much the same way that I laid out my main garden area. I did it on graph paper. Each little square is a square foot. I went ahead and I did all of this off camera. I did not want to make you guys sit through another planning video where I'm just coloring on paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys footage of the actual areas that I'm going to be planting, as well as the graph paper that I've laid out the plans for each area. And of course, I'm going to show you what it is that I'm going to be planting there. So let's jump in. So I think I'll go ahead and I'll start talking about the front of the house first, and I'll work my way back. In front of my house, on either side of my front door, is two garden beds that have been there since we moved in, and I have done nothing with them. I've just pretty much allowed them to do whatever they want, which is turn into a giant weed patch. And now I feel like it's time to do something with it and make it a productive part of this homestead. These two sheets of graph paper here represent the front of my house. This one on my left is the right side of my house, if you're facing it, and this one is the left side of the house if you're facing the front of the house. So this side has 2.5 more square feet than this side does. This side is 23 feet in length by 7.5 feet in depth, and then I do have a little chunk right here that just juts out towards the back of the house. This section over here is 21 feet in length and 10 feet in depth. So a mass majority of what I have on either side is going to be the same, barring that additional 2.5 square feet on this side. So I'm going to take you through everything and I'm going to show you what I got going on. Here we go. Okay, so before I jump into what all of my varieties are on these graph papers, I just want to kind of let you guys know where my head is at with these pollinator garden areas. So I have never planned a flower garden before. I've never had a flower garden before. This is a totally new experience for me. With that being said, my vision for these areas is just really big and just I don't want it to look manicured at all. I just want it to be big and out of control and just wild looking. So how I went about this was starting from the house. I have the tallest plants up against the house, and then from there they kind of taper downwards. And I just feel like that is going to look really lovely overall. Again, I have never planned a pollinator garden. I've never planned a flower garden. So I am expecting a lot of trial and error with this year. It's okay. There are no mistakes in the gardening world, only lessons learned. Starting at that additional 2.5 foot on this side of the house, I am going to be putting chamomile. Chamomile sits pretty low to the ground. I feel like that's a good starter crop for that additional 2.5 foot. The next row back after the chamomile is, I feel like I'm going to butcher this, but I'm going to try it, agastache. It's the raspberry daiquiri variety. I thought that this was lovely, and yeah, I'm excited to see this come up in my garden. After that, this row right here, all the way across, is some asters, and I found this lovely pastel mix. I think that it's going to be great. When I found these, I really loved that they look so feathery, and I loved that about these. So I'm excited to see these come up out front of my house this spring. The row behind those ones is also an aster, and this is the Matsumoto Formula Mix. I also thought that these looked lovely. You are going to notice that I tend to gravitate towards the blues and the purples and the pinks in my flowers. To each their own. That's just what I gravitate towards. All right, so now we are at the fourth row back on this side, and that one is going to be the Blue Boy Bachelor's Button. I also thought these looked absolutely lovely. I just feel like these bright colors are just going to catch the eye of all those pollinators, and they're just going to be drawn into it, and I'm super excited to see how this works. After that bachelor's button is another bachelor's button. This is the Classic Artistic Mix bachelor's button. I also thought these looked very lovely. And then I have some bee balm. I've read a lot about bee balm and pollinators. I feel like this is going to be a good addition. I do not want to try to pronounce that, but I'll show a close-up of the seed packet for you. All right, second to last in these front rows up here, these are the Fizzy Rose Picati Cosmos. I thought those looked stunning. And last but not least, for the front of the house, I have some sunflowers. And these don't exactly match my vibe, but I saw them and I thought that they just looked so dark and moody and lovely. I just really want to see these in person. I think they are absolutely gorgeous. This is the Chocolate Cherry Sunflower. So technically, that is it for the front of my house. But I do want to address this little chunk right here. So to explain, I have a strip that runs along the side of my house that used to have bushes, and off to the side of that little strip is where the chimney of my house is. So it kind of cuts into it and cuts it off, but then it continues another 2 foot on the other side of the chimney. So this I'm actually counting as the side and back of my house. So what is going to go here, maybe this will give you a little bit of a visual. So this is my house right here. This is that little chunk that I was talking about. The chimney is right here, and then that little area continues this way. So in this area right here, I am gonna have lavender. I have been wanting to grow lavender. I am ready to grow lavender. Let's get it going. I was reading about lavender, and it says you're actually supposed to start it in the wintertime by putting it in the fridge. So I went ahead and I did that. I'll go ahead and show that to you right now. So this is my little container that has lavender seeds in it. You can see that I labeled it "Do Not Touch." My husband has a habit of just throwing things away that are in the fridge. But I'll go ahead and I'll give you a close-up of these right now. So the directions that I had read was that you were supposed to put the seedling or the seeds on a damp paper towel and put them in the fridge for 30 to 40 days. And after that time is up, your seedlings or your seeds should have germinated, and then you can transfer them over to a starter pot. So I have not actually opened this up. I have not looked at these since I started them on the 1st of February. So we're about to see if anything has happened yet together. All right, so moving on from the lavender, I have this little area next to the walkway toward my garage. What I had envisioned for this area was just something that was just going to only be a couple inches tall, to just coat that whole area and make it look really lovely, because it really is just kind of like a blank space. Nothing's really going on there, and I just want to make it look lovely. So what I found for this area is phlox. This sits really low to the ground. I want to say, well, let's see. Yeah, compact plants rarely exceed 9 inches. So this is the Twinkle's Dwarf Mix Phlox. So I just thought that this would be perfect for that area. It's not going to get very big, but it can just coat the whole area. Perfect. I'm all for it. All right, friends, this is the front of my house here. I just wanted to take a couple of seconds and explain to you where my pollinator gardens are going to go. So as I stated just a few seconds ago, this side has 2.5 extra feet in depth than this side does, and that is because of this sidewalk section right here. So you can see, overgrown mess. There was at one point in time a bush right there. We've tried ripping it out. It's a big pain. We're gonna work around it. So this is an area that's going to be a pollinator garden, and then this is the other side. And then, as I explained in the diagrams, there's a couple square feet here that juts out. This is my chimney. That's why it sticks out like that. This is the area that's going to have lavender. This is all going to be lavender, all right here. And then turning this way, right here and right here, these two areas right here are all going to be that phlox. I hope that that gives you a good visual representation of where my pollinator gardens are going to go. So these were actually a pretty even split as far as what needs to be started indoors ahead of time and what needs to be direct sown. So I'm just going to take you through that real fast. Just so you're aware of how I'm going to go about getting this going. So obviously I already spoke about the lavender. Lavender needs started indoors. I already have that going. Hopefully it turns out okay. I've never done it before. We'll see. After the lavender, the next thing that I'm going to be starting is the bee balm. That should be started in the next probably week to 2 weeks. I should be getting this started. And then these 4 things can all be started at the same time, probably around the middle of March. So we have the chamomile, the agastache, and the 2 varieties of asters. As far as the flowers that need to be directly sown, it looks like most of these require a little bit of cold weather in order to germinate properly. It looks like my 2 bachelor's button varieties, the Blue Boy and the Classic Artistic Mix, will both need to be started around the beginning of March for me, planted outside where they're going to live for the year. And then the phlox will also need to be put down around the end of March or so. These Fizzy Rose Cosmos will probably need to be put in the ground in the beginning of April, and then the sunflower seeds will need to be put in at the end of April. All right, friends, so that's what I have planned for my pollinator garden this year. Please tell me what you think down below. I'm all about the feedback, and I also would like to know, what do you have in your pollinator gardens? If you liked this video and would like to see more from my channel, please consider subscribing and hitting that bell button so you're notified every time I post a video. Thank you for coming with me today. I'll see you soon.